Drivers, start your engines!
This is MRN Motorsports Monday. 1 full hour of news, interviews, and opinion about the past weekend's racing action.
Pace car's turning off. Be ready.
Now here's your hosts, Woody Cain and Joey Meier.
Green flag, green flag.
A big week at Bristol is in the books. We'll talk about it today. Back on Wednesday, seems like so long ago now, Ryan Blaney wins the Camping World Truck Series race. Then we get to Friday night, and it looks like we're going to have Chris Buescher, the point leader, win, but he falls aside. Kyle Busch wins that one. Then we get to Saturday night, and it's Joey Logano holding off Kevin Harvick. All in all, an exciting week at the world's fastest half mile. I'm Woody Cain, joined by Joey Meier, two-spotter for Brad Keselowski, and an eventful time for you guys as well.
Anybody that doesn't get a chance or hasn't had a chance to get to what they are considering now the last great Coliseum, it's on your bucket list. I've always considered 4 different racetracks that when somebody says, hey, I haven't gone to a NASCAR race, where should I go? Bristol is always on that list. And for a number of reasons. Wednesday showed that the guy that led a lot of the laps there at the end had to work his way to the front, and darn, he didn't get a win. Matt Crafton, leading the race, had a problem. Ryan Blaney overcame a speeding or a black flag for restarting early. He marched to the field and was able to capture the victory for BKR. Friday night's race, we have a point leader. He's going to stay out. He runs away from the field. He's going to win the race. Yay! No, he doesn't. He runs out of gas. Because of the high banking, he was as aggressive as I thought he could be, getting the pickup full of gas, and just didn't work out. And then on Saturday, we see guys, there were 3 really good cars throughout the entire evening, the 4, the 22, and the 18. The 4 overcome pit road penalties. The 18 was too late on a pit road penalty to overcome it.
Or it happened too late for him to get back up.
That's it, and Joey had a pit road issue, came out winning first, came out 4th. He battled back. So all 3 drivers came back from a little snafus that they had during the race. The 4 and the 22 put on an amazing show at the end with completely different lines. We talk about Bristol being a one-line track, but they all ran different entries and exits to try to get to each other. It really was a spectacular event with what I considered our largest crowd of the year, in excess of 120,000 people that got to watch. It holds 160,000, so we still had some empty seats available.
Just spotty here and there, though. It wasn't like chunks of empty seats.
Exactly right. So kudos to those guys and the people that have done their ticket sales for Bristol, because they did an amazing job. Just a great triple-header weekend at Bristol, and the weather was decent. Had a little bit of issue on Wednesday. We thought we were going to have to put up
we
with.
had like a 40-some-minute rain delay, but that was actually cool because we talked to, I don't know, maybe 10, 12 drivers or more, a couple crew chiefs along the way, that fans got a little bonus coverage there on the Motor Racing Network. Yeah,
a little modified racing, so it's a great ticket to get to if you get a chance. You know, for years it held the record for the number of sellouts back when we were at our peak of attendance before such fantastic coverage that we have here on TV and radio. Now people are sitting at home, but you're still producing a great event, 120,000 plus people on Saturday. Wednesday through Saturday, it's just an awesome event. A great weekend of racing. Quick shout out to another series. We had a little bit of an injury yesterday at Pocono.
I was going to say.
I wanted to give a quick shout out. We are thinking about Justin Wilson in a catastrophic, weird incident with being. And Kevin Swindell's now out of the hospital. He's on his road to recovery. So a couple of quick shout outs to those guys. We're thinking about you guys. It's a very small community here in racing. Get well. We hope the best for both those guys.
One of the cool things I saw about that, if you can say that in such a tragic situation, Tony Stewart lent his plane to Justin Wilson's family to get them over to the Pocono area so they could be there and support Justin. Got to talk to him just a couple of times. I don't claim to know him, but I interviewed him a couple of times back when he was doing some of the Grand Am races. Really nice guy, really cool, fun chat, and boy, I hope everything works out well for him after that incident. And again, just a crazy one along the way. We do have a really big show coming up for you here on Motorsports Monday. A little bit later on, we'll talk to Daniel Suarez. He's been on the program before, but he was the Dash for Cash winner with a strong top 5 on Friday night in the Xfinity Series, and he'll go to Darlington with a chance to win even more money. He's been doing some truck racing as well. He was in the one this past Wednesday night at Bristol. He can tell us a little about that. And then Justin Allgaier, a strong 12th place run for the number 51 Brandt machine over at H. Scott Motorsports, and he'll talk about that as well, and maybe we'll get something out of him about what plans he has during the off week. A lot of off week activities going on for the guys. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is going to be in one of his crew guys' weddings, by the way.
Really?
This week, yeah.
I didn't know that.
He talked extensively about that
Who's getting
post-race. I can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head.
Well, good for him. Congratulations.
Yeah. He said it's going to be practice for him for next year when he has to do it.
Yeah, he needs practice.
Right. So a lot to come, and you can play along with us on Twitter at MRN Radio. Mine is at WY Cain. Joey's is at 2Spotter, the number 2Spotter. Use that hashtag AskMRN so we can find your question or comment during the show, and we'll get to that. We've got on track, off track coming up a little bit later on. You won't want to miss that. Joey turned his in very early and cheated, got his graphics built, wouldn't tell me for 2 days what it was, so this is going to be pretty spectacular. I'm building it up so high so you can't meet the expectations.
Monumental for on and off track.
Monumental. Okay.
Yep.
Let me write that down. Monumental. I'm going to hold you to that when we get there. All right.
How about Bristol, our two guests today, having some of their top season finishes at one of the hardest tracks this season?
Yeah.
I'm curious when I talk to Justin later. It's one of the questions I want to ask him. It's interesting how you take such a difficult track and make it your best finish of the year.
Of all the places.
Right, of all the places. And it's two finishes. He's finished both of them, has been his season best finishes at Bristol. And, again, I find it interesting that, again, such a difficult track, and that's their best finishes of the year, which you'd expect an easier track to drive. We're going to talk to Daniel Suarez here in a little bit, and we're going to make comments that I don't think he likes road course racing. I'm just going to say that his finishes haven't been as good as I would have expected him to be, but I think he got in two different incidents.
Yeah, it's because he has speed, but the incidents have been hampering him so far.
Yep. So he gets to come back this weekend.
He did tell me to tell you don't ask him about road courses, by the way. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
Well, I talked to him after they walked out there with a big cardboard check Friday night after he won the Xfinity Dash for Cash deal and was all happy about that. And at that point, he was talking about how happy he was that the team had stuck with him through some difficult times, and now it's starting to pay off.
Yeah, they had a great finish. Top 10 qualifying. Again, run all night, lead lap finish, top 5 in points or finishing for those guys. So it's good. His teammate won the race. So again, Joe Gibbs Racing is producing some good. Who won the race? Did Kyle Busch win that darn race?
He did.
That's amazing.
Now, here's the interesting thing. We saw 2 times in a row. We'll get to break here in just a second. 2 times in a row, Wednesday night in the truck race and Friday night in the Xfinity race, the leader stays out, tries to stretch his fuel and tires. With Crafton on Wednesday, it was more fuel than tires. With Buscher on Friday, it was tires and fuel he was stretching.
Yep.
When they get into that banking, the fuel pickup is on the right side of the car. So when you're not up to speed, the fuel runs away from the pickup. Crafton said he had 4 gallons of fuel left,
plenty of fuel,
but he didn't have the centrifugal force yet to throw it up there to the pickup. One of the crew guys on the Cup side was telling me on Sunday that they use sometimes in the Cup Series one with a flap in it toward that right side, so that at lower speeds that flap will deploy and capture some of that gas near the pickup.
Correct.
And then when you get up to speed, it's okay because the centrifugal force is keeping it up there. I wonder if it's too expensive or not practical for the truck or Xfinity guys to use something like that.
The biggest difference between a Cup car versus the truck and Xfinity is the fuel injection. You have, just like in our automotive cars, you have a can that this fuel pump sits down into, and it does have flapper valves. So as fuel goes in there, it can't run out of this can.
It's different. It's apples and oranges.
Correct.
Right,
we don't have the necessary tools and equipment in a Xfinity car or truck to capture gas in a pump or a reservoir area for the pump to pick up, because the pump on most of these cars, and in fact most of them, are mounted outside the fuel can up towards the engine or cable driven back on the rear firewall. So all you have is a hose with a screen around it, essentially, down in the fuel system in a canned area, but it's never captured around a fuel pump area to keep it like that. Yeah. And that's the biggest difference. In fact, Brad Keselowski gave the tweet a comment about the truck race and the Xfinity race. Fuel injection would have changed the outcome of those races because they had plenty of fuel left.
Yeah, both did. Yeah.
They just couldn't get to it. And unfortunately, it was a more air than fuel requirement that they met, and that was not a good deal.
No, certainly not for those guys in
exactly
particular.
Right.
Absolutely.
But they had plenty of gas in there, but at 33, 34 degrees of banking, no matter how aggressively you are trying to get the fuel in the right rear corner of your fuel cell, you're still going to pick up air, and that's where the problem comes in. You have that air line, and it's picking up fuel, it's picking up air, it's picking up fuel, it's picking up air, and it's just traveling along the little fuel highway until it gets to your carburetor, in the essence of the truck and the Xfinity cars. And these things won't run on air.
No, they will not. They will not.
Need a little bit of gas, and unfortunately, you're going to pump air because these typical diaphragm or even gear-driven style pumps, they will pump air, and we don't want that. Where a fuel system, a fuel-injected car, it actually pumps up, and I'm just using round numbers, but it'll pump up 100 gallons to your engine, but your engine only needs 10 gallons. So it actually has a return line. It'll self-bleed itself a lot quicker, a fuel-injected system will, than with carbureted engines, and that was their discretion. The only thing they could have done different is sat on the apron a little bit longer, which NASCAR allows in many races. You'll see guys down on the apron. But both those guys were very aggressive in getting their fuel up into that reservoir. Not
quite enough, though, to finish the races in either case. Once again, take a timeout here now on MRN Motorsports Monday. We'll have Daniel Suarez coming up on the other side of the break, and then Justin Allgaier will join us a little later in the program. Stick around, everyone.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday.
Dale Jr. here. I wear Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans for any occasion. With new styles and great fits, you'll look good and feel comfortable anytime, anywhere.
Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans are built with a U-shaped construction, so they give you more room where you need it. And their 4-way flex technology moves with you for all-day comfort.
In the garage or out and about, Wrangler knows the ins and outs of comfort. Wrangler, real comfortable jeans.
Look out in the street there. You know what you don't see? My car, because I had to sell it to pay the lawyer I hired when I got busted for drunk driving. Know what else you don't see? My girlfriend, who decided that a guy with no car and no license and no money was no fun.
Cops are out there cracking down on drunk driving all across the country, and they'll see you before you see them. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Hey, I'm Ryan Newman. Now back to Joey Meier and Woody Cain on Motorsports Monday.
Kyle, it looked like all night long, clean air and the high line were about the most important things. How'd you get it done at the end?
Well, I took advantage of somebody running out of fuel. That was the biggest thing. But, you know, we had a good car tonight. Our Monster Energy Camry was fast. We had good speed. We can catch those guys and get right up to them. But then, you know, it was really hard to make any moves on anybody. When they're running that high line, there's no way to go low and run faster than them when momentum's all built up. You know, you got to let traffic kind of play your way and try to cut through traffic as good as you can. But yet, everybody's really learned how to do the traffic thing these days. So, you know, Chris was doing an amazing job up there and running really hard, running really good, running really smart, and did a good job. So I don't know if we could have beat him straight up, but, you know, glad we didn't have to.
Had he not run out, what kind of plan or scheme was running through your mind to give him a shot?
The only thing that I had left was I got a good run off of 2. I sucked on restarts, but I got a good run off of 2, and I got enough alongside of him that I felt like I had momentum on him down the backstretch. And if we would have went into 3 side by side, I would have just had to door him and get him out of my way and try to go by, you know. But that's just a product, I guess, of what Bristol's is now.
All-time win leader here. What is it about this place that suits you so well?
I don't know. I really hate the grind. I've run well here and won a lot of races on the old surface and the new surface before they ground it. And since they ground it, I've kind of slowed my winning ways, I guess you'd say. You know, haven't won since they've done that. So on the Sprint Cup side, so we'd like to be able to change that. Feel like we got a really good Camry for tomorrow. The Skittles car is fast, so we hope to put in victory lane like here tonight.
There you go, Kyle Busch after his win on Friday night in the Xfinity Series. But the guy who was making big headlines joins us on the guest line now. He drove the number 18 Juniper Networks Toyota Camry for Joe Gibbs Racing to a top 5 finish, and that was good enough to get him the Xfinity Dash for cash money as well. Daniel Suarez back on the program. Congratulations, man, and welcome back to the show.
Thank you, man. Thank you very much. That was a good night overall. A good day actually, because we were running since very early in the morning with the first and only practice, long practice by the way. It was almost 2 hours and a half, and then qualifying race. It was good. I really feel like we had a pretty strong Juniper Networks Toyota Camry. We were pretty much running in the top 10 all night long. But oh man, track position was everything. I feel like I was better sometimes than some cars in front of me, but I didn't have the track position. So, you know, thanks to the strategy that my crew chief Eric Phillips worked out in the last pit stop, I think we gained some track position and worked pretty good for us in the end.
I love live radio, and part of the live radio
you got to push that button there for him to hear you.
Because I had a really good question before I started talking.
All right.
When you and Eric Phillips showed up for Bristol, it's during the daytime, and you're planning for a night race, and then the track didn't have as much rubber on it as it did at the end of your practice. What kind of transitions were you planning for, and did you plan on running the high lane all night, or were you going to try to run the bottom to get by traffic?
You know, it's difficult because actually I was feeling pretty good in the top during the practice, and then once I tried the bottom and the middle, I just feel like I was super tight, and then we were just trying to fix that tight in the bottom and in the middle, and actually we were able to fix some of that, and then we moved back to the top, and we were too loose. So man, it was difficult. I really feel like the split between the bottom and the top, it was a lot. So you need to decide where you're going to run, and obviously the top was way faster. So somehow you need to make sure that you are fast in the top, but you need to make sure that you are at least decent in the bottom to try to make some ground when you can. So it was a difficult decision, I think, but in the end, like I say, our car worked pretty good, and we were able to be in the top 10 pretty much all night long.
Chatting with Daniel Suarez, who took the Juniper Networks Toyota Camry for Joe Gibbs Racing to a 5th-place finish at Bristol on Friday night. And, Daniel, I talked to you after the race, and you weren't the only guy who was looking a little bit wiped out after that one, and you've been on so many road courses lately, but how physical is a race at the short track of Bristol compared to some of these road courses you've been running lately?
That Bristol is crazy. Bristol is it's a tough racetrack. It's a tough racetrack. If you don't work out good yourself, you know, being in good shape and try to have some good food before the race, I really think that someone won't be able to make it in the same shape the first half of the race than the second half of the race. I really feel like I try to be in the best shape as possible, working out and with the program that JGR put together for me. And I feel like we were pretty good on that side, but definitely Bristol is one of the toughest places to race and to be 100% for most of the race, even worse on a road course race, a mile and a half or 1 mile or everything. You know, Bristol is just in a different level than every racetrack.
Now, you mentioned the eating the food and preparing properly. Are you superstitious? Do you eat the same thing every time before a race, or do you have like a plan that the team puts together for you?
I don't eat the same thing before every race, but I try to eat good stuff, protein, carbs, vegetables. I just try to eat, I don't have like a diet or anything like that, but I just try to balance my food a little bit to try to be better. For some reason, I feel like when I eat well and I balance my food better, I just feel like I'm stronger in the race car, and I can be better for more time. So since I don't even remember when I felt that, but when I felt that, I just start to be a little bit more strict with my food and with what I'm eating at the racetrack to try to be better at the racetrack as well.
Yeah.
Daniel, when you showed up at Bristol, you're part of a very small group that only ran 2 or 3 races potentially. You ran the truck race on Wednesday and then the Xfinity race on Friday. Did you feel like the truck race and the transition that the track took throughout the evening helped you monitor the track on Friday as well?
I think so, but I felt like I made a mistake over there because in the truck race, I really feel like from practice and qualify all the way until the race, that obviously the race was at night and it was more cold. I felt like the racetrack got tighter and tighter. And that information, obviously I got that information from my Xfinity race, and I was very confident that with that information, I was going to be able to be a little bit better to know where we need to be. And actually, in the Xfinity race, we just got tighter as well on the race. So definitely, I knew that the racetrack was getting tighter during the race and during the night. But for some reason, I wasn't able to make the car right. I mean, good enough to be with a little bit better balance. Like I said, we were strong, we were fast, But it's just hard. We are looking for just a little bit, 1/10 faster, and that makes a huge difference. I feel like our car was fast, and it was really good in the long runs. In the long run, it was unbelievable, maybe one of the fastest. But in the short runs, I just feel like I was a little bit off, and that little bit maybe was the point that was why I wasn't able to run more competitive the whole time in the top 5 all night long. So it's what it is. I feel like but anyway, we had a pretty good night.
Yeah, absolutely you did. Now you go back to some road course racing, and you guys have been spent a lot of time on road courses here over the past month or so, heading to Road America. You've been quick at Watkins Glen and Mid-Ohio, but some incidents have gotten in the way. How can you translate that to a better finish at Road America coming up this weekend?
I think so. I really think so. To be honest, 1 month ago, I was super excited about this month because Bristol and because road course racing. I love road course racing. I really think that I really enjoy racing in road course racing. So I was super excited, but I really think that we have been running a little bit out of luck, and I have been struggling a little bit with the balance of my car. But I feel like we are working in a different way for this weekend in Road America. I never been in Road America before. It was my first time in the Xfinity car in Watkins Glen. It was my first time ever in Mid-Ohio. Mm-hmm. So I have been learning a lot about this racetrack. I have been doing my normal stuff, my homework, watching videos, onboard cameras and stuff, and I feel like that is helping me. But I need to do something else. There is something left in the table and that I need to work on. So I think that we are working already on that, and hopefully we can figure it out to be a little bit better, and hopefully we can put ourselves in a better position to have a little bit better luck and be racing in the front in North America.
Daniel, one of the things talking to you, it doesn't sound like it, but it says a big R next to your name in the points, sitting 6th, tied with another guy with an R next to his name, Darrell Wallace. You only run 3 road courses a year. Do you do anything differently for a road course prep because you haven't been there than you would for a normal track that you haven't been to?
Well, it's difficult because when you get in a new racetrack, you try to prepare yourself in a different way, trying to, like I say, do your homework and do some different stuff to try to prepare yourself a little bit better. Because if you for some reason don't do this preparation before the race, you are going to spend the whole practice, first practice and maybe second practice, trying to figure out the racetrack, and that's not the best thing to do. So you want to do something before you hit the racetrack to try to prepare better yourself and try to know what to expect about the racetrack and about the race car and about everything. So what I normally do is just to try to watch last year races, onboard camera races, and I feel like that has been helping me a lot. And so far it's been good. But like I said, there is something in the road course races that I'm living that I'm missing somewhere. I have been working to try to be better at it, but there is something in there. Like I said, we are going to do some different stuff this weekend in Road America. Let's see how everything works out, but hopefully we can make it work better than the first couple of road courses.
That's Daniel Suarez. He drove the number 18 Juniper Networks Toyota Camry for Joe Gibbs Racing to a 5th-place finish at Bristol on Friday night and won the Xfinity Dash for cash money. He'll have another chance to win another $100,000 at Darlington coming up, and they will be at Road America this coming Saturday. You can hear that right here on Motor Racing Network. Daniel, congratulations on a strong season and a strong run, and look forward to seeing you this weekend.
Thank you very much, guys. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. And hopefully we can talk next week with some good news about Road America.
Yeah,
thank you guys again.
Yeah, thanks
good
a lot.
Yep.
There you go, and a good run. It's been great to see his development continue through this season.
Yeah, I was gonna tell him one of the things that I thought got in his way at Watkins Glen was the tire barrier.
Well, that's true, but that was in practice.
That was in practice.
Yeah.
Those guys had to pull a backup car out, and he ended up, getting that car back to a 15th place finish. Not exactly what they were looking for. Battling a very, very tight rookie race with him and Darrell Wallace. So be interesting to see how this third road course works out for those guys.
All right, another time out here on Motorsports Monday. On the other side, we'll talk to a guy who ran on Saturday night and had a strong performance there, and says now it's his favorite track.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday.
The following is a message from ToyotaRacing.com. Toyota Racing is all about speed and precision, which is why, right now, my voice is being digitally slowed down. My regular voice has mind-blowing speed and precision. For example, here's how this ad would sound unaffected. Visit ToyotaRacing.com for exclusive NASCAR content and videos, information on our NHRA off-road and other teams, see how fast I normally am, details and stats about all your favorite drivers like Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, and Matt Kenseth, complete race results. Actually, this is still kinda slow for me, guys, so listen to this. You can also find Toyota Racing t-shirts, hoodies, and keychains, Twitter updates, connect with other Toyota Racing fans, and just about anything else Toyota Racing related. Tongue cramp. So, Toyota Racing fans, go check out ToyotaRacing.com. Oh, man, does anyone have an ice pack? NASCAR is a registered trademark of the National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing, Inc.
Hey, I'm Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Now back to Joey Meier and Woody Cain on Motorsports Monday.
As we said, a fun race, three fun races at Bristol over the last week or so, and one of the guys who had a lot of fun there as well is joining us on the guest line now. He drives the Brandt Professional Agriculture Machine for H. Scott Motorsports to a 12th place run on Saturday night. Justin Allgaier, welcome back to the program, and I forgot to mention, sometime co-host of this here program.
Yeah, it's good to be back on, albeit on the phone instead of behind the microphone, but it's always good to be on with you guys, and definitely a strong run for us on Saturday night. I wish it could have been a little bit better. Obviously, you always hope for more, but at the same time, when you can finish 12th and make 500 laps at Bristol, it definitely is a good night.
Justin, when you and your crew chief, Steve Adam, can show up for Bristol, you have to be excited. Had a great top 10 finish earlier in the year, and you show up. But one of the first things you have to battle through is the transition of the track. Do you automatically throw away your first couple of laps before the track transitions, or do you try to utilize that time to realize, hey, I have to use this area for the passing of lap cars, which you did on Saturday?
Yeah, for us, we were very fortunate that, obviously, as you mentioned, the transition, I didn't quite expect it to be as great as it was with all of the Truck Series practice and race on Wednesday, and then the Xfinity Series was on track before us. But we ran the bottom and the middle quite a bit to start that first practice, just to see what the track was going to be like in the race, because obviously the fewer laps on the bottom that the racetrack gets, the start of the race or really the whole race is pretty green down there. So what you have in practice is kind of what you have in the race. Now the top goes through a major transition, obviously, as you run throughout the course of the day, that changes. But then also day to night, trying to figure out what you're going to do there. I mean, it's a crew chief's nightmare. I mean, let's be honest, to have to try and set your car up during the day and then to race at night and to go through all those changes is a crew chief's nightmare. But I've got a great crew chief on the box. Steve Addington's done an awesome job this year. Really every time I've been fortunate, every time I've unloaded at Bristol, whether it be in the Xfinity Series and picked up my first win there a couple of years ago or been in the Sprint Cup Series, I feel like I've just been comfortable. And you guys know as well as anybody that being comfortable at a racetrack sometimes has more to do with success than anything else. And so having to know what the car wants and what I want in the race car has truly been an advantage for me at Bristol. And I think that's why it ranked as my favorite track on the schedule this year.
I have to ask, I was going to get down the road a little bit, why? But Bristol's one of the hardest tracks we race at. It's a road course or speedway racing. Bristol is its own little unique enemy. Why are you so good at Bristol?
I wish I had an answer for you, Joey. It's one of those places that, I grew up in the ARCA Racing Series. We're fortunate enough to go to Salem Speedway and Winchester Speedway, both of which have, really high banking and kind of narrow corners for for the size of the racetrack, and so, I don't know if those racetracks are what created my love for Bristol, or going there as a fan, growing up and watching all the different series run there. I really wish I had a better answer for you. But the one thing I'll say is that when you get to Bristol, you either love it or hate it. And something that I thought was very interesting post-race was that Kevin Harvick said that Bristol still isn't one of his favorites. And, watching him pass me a couple of times, I find it hard to believe that it's not his favorite, as fast as his car was. So, it's really one of those places that you just have to feel comfortable when you get there to like it. And I've just always had that comfortability.
Yeah, we were talking earlier with Daniel Suarez, and you mentioned about favorite tracks and whatnot, and those guys have been on a lot of road courses lately. You guys were just at Watkins Glen a few weeks ago. How physical is a night at Bristol compared to, say, a road course or any of the other tracks that you go to?
I think each racetrack has its own unique challenges. Road course, obviously turning right, you're using muscles that you're not used to turning or to using turning right. The other part of that is a lot of people change their seat position at a road course, so make it a little bit more comfortable to turn left and right. So your body position may not always be perfect, things like that. The thing about Bristol that I think is interesting is, to run a 15-second lap time at Bristol and really to race in the 15s pretty much all night. I mean, we had a few laps there that were in the 16s, but majority of the race was in the 15-second bracket. To do that for 500 laps is extremely physically demanding, because you really kind of lose track as to where you're at on the racetrack. As you're running around there, you're on the front straightaway when you cross the start-finish line, things like that. I mean, granted, it's not I never have struggled with which side of the racetrack I'm on, but it's really crazy the way that you race it, because everything happens so quickly. You click off laps faster than you can even imagine. And really, I thought the race the other night went fairly quickly. We didn't have a ton of cautions. We didn't have a lot of cleanup for those cautions, and so it went fairly quickly. But at the end of 500 laps, you definitely are feeling the effects on your body and on your mind and the car. I did tell my crew chief, though, after the race, I wish we ran 1,000 laps at Bristol. I wish we'd run a 500-mile at Bristol. Just one time, just to see what it would be like. For me, I actually, after the race, I ran back to the hauler and ran out the track, ran up the racetrack, and ran out and ran to my car. Probably not at a sprint pace, but something that I feel like would be a normal running pace for me. So I felt pretty good about myself after the race. I felt pretty in shape, and I always want to run more there. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Justin, as we proceed through 2015, there's 12 races to go. 2 that we get to chase in the last 10. Harry Scott Motorsports has been in the news, and a good sign. Last year you added a teammate. Then the potential for 2016, you've heard the rumblings, the website news of adding a possible third teammate. Where do we improve Harry Scott Motorsports as we move forward?
Well, I think, obviously there's a lot of rumor mill and all of that goes on, especially this late in the season. But, I think for me, adding the second car this year was huge. To bring a teammate in like Michael Annett, to have somebody that I feel like we get along really well. We have a lot of the same similarities as far as what we want in the car and out of the car, things like that. So to add that second team was really good. I think the one most important piece to make things better is time. The Rick Hendricks, the Roger Penske's, the Joe Gibbs, all of the main team owners, and there's quite a few more, but all of the main team owners in our series weren't started. None of these teams were started yesterday. And even though H. Scott Motorsports is a continuation, if you will, of Phoenix Racing, when we took over, when I was fortunate enough to start with H. Scott Motorsports at the end of the Phoenix Racing era, we kind of hit the reset button and really changed a lot. Now there's still some people in the shop that were there before, and we're still in the same shop that Phoenix Racing was in. But they really hit the reset button, and Harry wanted to really set out and build a race team over time, not come in, just oversaturate everything, and then be out in a couple of years. And so I really give him a lot of credit for what he's trying to accomplish. I think resources, obviously, anytime you can gain resources, whether that be from any of the different sides, engine, chassis, technical, it doesn't matter. Anytime you can keep adding to those resources, is a huge improvement, and the only way you're going to do that is keep building things over time. So I think that the time is the key. Now, obviously, strength in numbers is sometimes has its advantages as well, and I think 2 cars was definitely better than 1. I don't have a crystal ball to tell you if 3 is better than 2 or 4 is better than 3. I don't know what the landscape looks like as far as what's better or worse, or even what the race team will look like next year. But I think that time is definitely on our side, and we've been making steady progress. And I think when you do that, not only from a personal aspect of seeing growth, but from a partner aspect, from a fan aspect, I think it's neat to see that continuation of a race team growing like that.
Absolutely it is. We're chatting with Justin Allgaier, who took the Brandt Professional Agriculture Machine to a 12th place finish at Bristol on Saturday night. The Sprint Cup Series is off this coming week. But before we leave Bristol, Justin, I wanted to ask you one more thing about that situation. Is a lot of the chatter coming out came from the drivers' meeting, where a lot of guys had a bunch of questions about restart rules and rulings. Do you feel like you've got a good handle on what they're trying to do there and how things are going, or is it an enforcement question? What's the gist of the issue here?
Well, unfortunately, I haven't been leading a race to get that problem here of late. I'd like to have that problem, but I think the issue the other night was I think we all saw the truck race, having the penalty for the restart zone. Obviously, looking at the replay, he probably did leave a little early. It is what it is. It happens. The restart zone at Bristol is really, really short. So, I understand both sides. If there's a rule in place, you have to you have to enforce the rules. And if there's not a rule in place, then it can become whatever it is. I will say that there are certain drivers that play more games than others. And I think that was the
No.
Well, I mean, come on, let's be honest. But I think it was interesting what was said in the drivers' meeting is that they're monitoring now speed and RPMs and all of that is kind of the concept that I got, which I thought was very interesting. But at the same time, I think that there's a lot of drivers who just don't want to be in that position. Sometimes not knowing or not having an issue, you can kind of skate on by and it's not a big deal. But when somebody does get penalized, especially for the guys that really like to analyze all the details, that really throws a wrench in their thought process, because now the doubt is there and the concern is there. And I think when you have that concern or doubt, I think that really screws with you. Yeah. As a driver, as a race team, as a spotter, Joey, yep. As all these things, you want to be at your max, and you want to be able to perform at 100%. But if you have that doubt in your mind, sometimes you're not at 100%. And if that last restart comes down to winning the race or having a penalty, I'd much rather finish second than have a penalty. But at the same time, I'd rather win all these races and not have a penalty. So I think that the concept was just to learn, what they're going to enforce, what they're not going to enforce, and where the gray areas are. I think that's the most important part. What can we get away with and what can't we get away with?
Yeah.
Hey, moving forward, every time I tend to be on assignment, as Woody calls it, we ask you to fill in.
Special assignment. Let's get it straight.
So we ask you to fill in on my seat. I'm just making sure you understand that if you ever need to fill in, I'm here, man. I got some racetrack experience, and I wouldn't mind. But, one of the things we do is we sit behind this desk and act as professional media guys. We have really cool websites that we get on. It shows some things. I noticed the activity for Ashley Allgaier's driving career has been slowed a little bit. I haven't seen any retirement announcement. What's the deal?
Well, I don't know if it's I don't know that we're going to call it retirement yet, but I don't think she's going to race this year.
Okay.
She, every time she's done it, I think that the funny part for me is every time she's done it, she's dreaded it all the way up until the race. And let's be honest, our wives, girlfriends, whoever it is in this sport, as racers, as drivers, we're all competitive. And sometimes I think we look at the female side as maybe not quite as competitive. But I can assure you, when she strapped that helmet on, it was game on.
Yes.
And I don't know if she just didn't like that feeling, or if she didn't like. I don't know what it was, but she definitely dreaded it all the way up until the start of the race, and then once the adrenaline got pumping, she was in. But I think she's going to take a year off.
Okay.
And we'll see what happens after that. I don't know.
All right.
Hey, quickly, any special plans for the off week? Going to take it easy?
Well, I'm going to do what every normal racer wants to do. I'm going to a dirt track to go race my dirt modified. We got the Federated Auto Parts 51. Going to go to we're racing Macon, Illinois on Wednesday night. Paducah, Kentucky on Thursday night, and Farmer City, Illinois on Friday night for Brant night. So, that's normal, right? When you have an off weekend from racing, you're supposed to go racing again.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That's insane. Justin, we appreciate your time. Congratulations on a strong run, and look forward to having a fun off week and then get back to it at Darlington.
Thanks, guys. As always, it's great to be on. And, Joey, I know you said that if I ever needed to fill in that you'd be there, and same for you. If you ever need to go on assignment, just let me know. I'll come back and fill any shoes.
All right, buddy. Thank you very much.
Yeah, but see, he can't tear up the equipment here. You'd tear up his equipment. That's the problem.
You have no faith in me.
Okay, you're right. I got it. You're right.
It says here I finished 13th at Rockingham.
Are you going to go there again?
65
that was
drivers.
in a street stock.
It had 4 tires, a motor, and a shifter.
All
I
right.
finished.
Thanks, Justin. There you go. We got to take a time out here, but when we come back, we will have our on-track, off-track segment. We've got a Twitter question for Joey that he will love. You can play along with us at MRN Radio. Use that hashtag AskMRN, and we'll fire some more questions at Joey. Stick around, everyone. More Motorsports Monday ahead.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday.
The road to victory lane isn't just for drivers anymore. Introducing the official daily fantasy game of NASCAR at DraftKings.com, America's favorite daily fantasy sports site. Just pick a team of 5 drivers and stay under the salary cap. Outscore your opponents and win. Hurry to DraftKings.com now and use promo code COAST to play for free. You could win part of the $1 billion in prizes being awarded this year. Enter COAST to play for free now at DraftKings.com. That's DraftKings.com.
They touch, they bump, they head for turn number 1.
This is Darlington.
Ricky Craven gets the win.
On these hallowed grounds, tradition is coveted because it's about where we come from
Elliott takes it and wins the Winston Million
and where we're headed.
Chase Elliott wins here at the Darlington Race.
Tradition returns Labor Day weekend with the Bojangles Southern 500. Celebrate the next great chapter September 4th through the 6th. For tickets, call 866-459-RACE or visit darlingtonraceway.com.
Hey, I'm Martin Truex Jr. Now back to Joey Meier and Woody Cain on Motorsports Monday. Joey Meier, is that the Joey Meier, the spotter? Pilot? Joey Meier, pilot, spotter, is on the radio? You guys actually, wow. Can you record this? Can you record this and be like, wow, Joey Meier's on the radio. Unbelievable.
Wow. That might be my favorite one of all right there. Wow.
My buddy.
Need to tell you that Motorsports Monday today is brought to you by STP. In for the long haul as we get set to head to an off weekend for the Sprint Cup Series. The Xfinity Series goes to Road America. Camping World Truck Series will be up at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. We'll have all that action for you right here on the Motor Racing Network. However, we do have a Twitter question for Joey, and I know you're going to love this because our pal Dan McMichael has phrased it in a way that will touch you, I know. He says, if the chase were to start today, I know you always love that.
That's it.
If the chase were to start today, who has the best momentum? Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano, Kyle Busch, or someone else?
No, those 3 guys, exactly right, were the 3 top cars at Bristol. To try to pick one of those guys out of any other one, I mean, Kevin Harvick's second-place streak is crazy.
10 times.
Crazy. Yeah. However, you can't win if you're finishing second, right?
No, you cannot.
So that somebody else means that somebody else is winning. So you
see the chase grid there. Exactly. If it were to start today, I know that's your favorite phrase.
Right now, Joe Gibbs is winning races. They're winning more races with all their teammates. Unfortunately, we only have 1 win in the 2 car. Joey has those 3. But as a company, Joe Gibbs Racing right now, I believe, has the advantage simply from momentum side because more of their drivers as a company are winning races with Matt Kenseth and Kyle Busch. I believe Kevin Harvick's second-place streak is just simply incredible.
It's been since the 70s that somebody did something
exactly
like
right.
this. Yeah.
But again, you have to be able to win to get through these chase races, and he won at Homestead last year.
Well, now let's hold on there just a second, Buckaroo. It looks
ahead.
like to me like last year Ryan Newman kept making it through the segments without winning.
No, what I was getting at is at Homestead, Kevin won that race.
He did.
So finishing second wasn't going to win him the championship. Somebody else could have won. And my point is, you can move forward in the different rounds, but when it comes down to Homestead, if you're finishing second, it means you're opening the door for somebody else to win.
Right.
And at Homestead, points means 0 for the guys that are winning, the fork drivers. You have to win the race. And that's what the only thing that concerns me is that inability to close. You know, Kevin Harvick is the closer, him and Rodney Childers. I believe they're going to be obviously stepping their game up, but so are other race teams. Joe Gibbs Racing, in my opinion, has the momentum on their side.
Absolutely right now. And by the way, before we leave that topic, you mentioned Homestead. There's a big test coming up there this weekend. Are you guys participating in that?
Joey did our test for Team Penske. When it came down to delegating who did it, Team Penske had said, well, you're the 22's higher in points. If they want to go, they get to go first. And that's how it was awarded. So Joey Logano and the Team Penske guys are down in Homestead with a whole handful of other guys preparing for that last race of the year.
All right, there you go. Don't forget now, coming up this weekend on Motor Racing Network, we mentioned the Road America 180 fired up by Johnsonville Xfinity race from Elkhart Lake begins at 2:30 Eastern Time on Saturday. Then on Sunday, it's the Camping World Truck Series, the Chevrolet Silverado 250 from Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. That one starts at 1 o'clock on Sunday, so a little bit of a switch there. It'll be the Xfinity race on Saturday, Camping World Trucks on Sunday. You can hear them both on Motor Racing Network. Okay, that brings us to on track, off track, and you, sir, cheated and turned yours in early.
Well, we were part of it last week with the Team Penske number 2 car. We brought out a Rusty Wallace throwback paint scheme. It happens occasionally.
That was a good-looking car.
It was a great-looking car. Crew members throughout the garage were patting us on the back. Last week I had the throwback jersey on. This week we saw Jeff Gordon's typical, very famous rainbow paint scheme that Exalta put on. Next week is off. The following week we'll go to Darlington for the night race, back on Labor Day essentially. Goodyear Tire is even coming back with their throwback tire scheme, which is going to be the white big Goodyear on the side of the tire that we all grew up with. The younger generation probably doesn't appreciate it, but now we have XM radio. Guys can listen to 60s and 70s music and love it.
And you can listen to Throwback Thursday here on Motor Racing Network.
The old races. So the throwback paint schemes are just a really cool way of all the old if you're watching us on MRN on your app, you see all the throwback paint schemes that are available at Darlington. And we had, say, the Jeff Gordon. And the number 2 car was at Michigan as well.
Wait, you get graphics now for your deal?
We have on off.
What's up with that?
It's when you give somebody enough advantage notice, this is what you get. It's nothing.
I feel.
But throwback paint schemes are really cool. It allows you to relive for different memories throughout your childhood, growing up like I did. 40 years in the business. I'm not giving away my age too much, but I love throwback paint schemes. There's nothing better than them, and I think NASCAR as a general has done a great job of promoting these for the next couple weeks.
All right, so on track for me is going to be something I'll call late season desperation. You mentioned a little while ago talking to Justin, a couple of races left before the chase, and then not that it's not been, but it's game on for the championship after that. And I think you're starting to see, even in the Xfinity and the Camping World Truck Series, guys willing to take more chances. They don't have a chase in those two series. Guys willing to roll the dice, so to speak. We saw it with Matt Crafton staying out when some other guys, he may have been a little close on fuel there in the Camping World Truck Series. We saw Chris Buescher stay out way past what anybody thought anybody might try on his tires and fuel. We saw a lot of guys trying 2 tires, no tires in the Sprint Cup Series on Saturday night, gambling, trying to do anything they can to get that win because there's 2 chances left for guys who aren't already locked in to lock themselves in with a win. With the new rules package, I guess not new anymore since we did it at Kentucky, but the low downforce rules package coming back at Darlington for the Bojangles Southern 500, I can't imagine the chances guys might be willing to take here over these next 2. And then when we get to Richmond, boy, Katie bar the door there. That is the last chance.
Well, right now we have 2 races left for a winner that hasn't won yet to get in the chase. We have 5 drivers that haven't won a race that are in the chase based on points. So essentially 3 of those 5 drivers are guaranteed to get into the chase based on points. So you're going to see guys with a different mentality of, we need a points race. Even though winning is so important, we need to be able to protect our position. McMurray at 12th, Ryan Newman at 13th. But behind that, 14th, 15th, and 16th are separated by essentially 15 or 20 points. And they can get that in one race. They don't need to wreck. They don't need a mechanical failure. So they're going to be protective of their position. Guys just outside or anywhere outside the 17th point and up, they understand that one win in the next 2 races, boom, they're in the chase. It's that simple. So the guys that are in the chase, like ourselves at Team Penske 2, we're going to be normal aggressive. We're just going to we want to go win. But like this weekend, we finished 6th at Bristol. You hang your head, your teammate won. Okay, celebrate that. We're not desperate. Okay, so there are some desperate people, and these desperate dimes call for desperate measures, and this chase format, as you mentioned, allows that.
Yeah, and you look at some of the guys now who are just on the outside looking in, Eric Almirola and Cain, 35 and 37 points out. Those guys can, they're within one race, essentially. If a guy ahead of them crashes out, they can make up that deficit within one race. All right, now let's go to off-track. What do you got there?
Unfortunately, years ago, I was part of what I'm going to talk about, and that was a big, large race team going out of business. Michael Waltrip Racing this weekend announced they're going to cease operation at the end of 15. And if you haven't experienced a death of a parent, you always tell somebody, I know exactly how you feel. But you don't if you haven't experienced the death of your parent. Well, this death of a race team, sometimes we have casualties of war, even though they weren't a part of the war. They're casualties. And what we have is all the employees at Michael Waltrip Racing have done their job spectacularly. They've been in the races. They've been winning. And so essentially what we have is a lot of people that are going to be out of work. Great times over the last 7-8 years of Michael Waltrip Racing being scrolled across our screen. And right now what you have is those people are going to be out of work. We can't just create jobs for them. And it's an unfortunate set of circumstances when you have a large operation like Michael Waltrip Racing saying, we're done at the end of 15. It's a difficult time for not only the people working there, but their entire families as well. And it's just unfortunate. I think about those guys and just hope for the best.
You and I talked about this at the track over the weekend. One of the things I was struck by was how Clint Boyer stayed away from the I, me type comments and focused on these guys, these people, this team. He was most concerned about getting this information out as quickly as they could to allow these guys an opportunity to find another job within the industry. And that's what is going on right now. But interesting that was the situation that he took, or the track he took, in terms of supporting his team and trying to make sure those guys were taken care of. All right, for me, off track is something we touched briefly on with Justin Allgaier, the restart rules. A ton of questions about it from the drivers at the drivers meeting at Bristol. We saw the enforcement of it at at Bristol in the truck race on Wednesday night. But I think essentially what we're seeing is a lot of comments from guys saying, we want you to enforce it. We don't want to wonder about whether or not it's going to be enforced. It seemed like it was a little bit better Saturday night, but going into that, a lot of guys had questions.
One of the things NASCAR does is they have a set of rules. It's a booklet. Well, the restart rule is clearly written on what it is. There's 2 lines. You either go in the first one, or the restart flagman can go at the second line. Just enforce what the rules are. The leader of the race should always have the advantage on a restart. Plain and simple. He earned it. He's the leader. What you've seen over a period of time is the second place, third place guys, the fourth place guys understand what the rules are and how to manipulate them.
Which is what racers always do.
Exactly right. So NASCAR needs to rein them back in, get the front row lined up nose to tail, the second row nose to tail, and just start enforcing. They don't want new rules. They're just trying to make NASCAR understand it. We just want you to enforce the rules that you have, and we'll be fine with it. And most of those guys talk as if they were leading the race. Because if they're not going to enforce the rule, the guy running second has the advantage, and they want to alleviate that.
I read a comment from Jeff Gluck over at USA Today that kind of stuck with me on this issue, where he said NASCAR's policy so far with this has basically been like parents say to their kids, don't make us come down there.
That's it. Don't make me count to 3. 1.
Yeah.
2.
2.5.
So that's exactly it. Get rid of that. They don't
Absolutely.
want that.
The ambiguity is the issue for sure as well. All right, we need to take another time out here on Motorsports Monday. As we go out, though, let's hear from Ryan Blaney. We haven't mentioned the Camping World Truck Series much yet. Check out that win for him back on Wednesday night, the last laps as well.
Blaney to the inside, Crafton to the outside, green flag in the air, 2 laps to go, and it's going to be Blaney as Crafton doesn't get going.
Shot out of a cannon, Ryan Blaney grabs a lead, Kyle Busch to the outside, grabs second, Nemechek, Hemrick, they're the top 4 coming off of turn 4.
Crafton falls outside of the top 5 as the white flag is out for Ryan Blaney, 4 truck lengths in hand over Kyle Busch.
He has come full circle using the high side momentum one more time. Kyle Busch pedaling as hard as he can down in turn 3 and 4. Busch looks to the low side, but not enough. Blaney hits off turn 4.
Blaney's coming to the stripe after leading early and suffering a penalty. He is going to win here at Bristol.
How confident were you in this truck there to go back to racing about 25 to go?
Well, we had a really, really fast Cooper Standard Ford F-150, and luckily we were able to drive back through the field to get ourselves in a position to win. And, caution kind of fell our way, and we were able to pull off a good restart. And, I don't know if it hurt the 88's left rear or what, but we were both spinning our tires, and it was definitely not intentional. We made a little bit of contact, but I can't say enough for this Cooper Standard team. We finally got a Ford truck back in victory lane for the second consecutive year here at Bristol, and thanks for the fans for sticking around during the rain, and really happy we went back racing.
Before we talk about the last restart, let's talk about that first restart that got you the black flag. Take us through that.
Well, the 00 was laying back a lot, and going to get a run, which is what you're supposed to do, and I didn't want him to get a run, so I went maybe a tiny early, but I would like to see a warning, obviously, but luckily we were able to recover well.
And now that last restart, when you come back through the field, you get the caution that kind of puts you side by side again. What about that last restart?
Well, we weren't the control truck in that last restart, and so we were just kind of doing what the 88 was, and luckily we had good enough traction to kind of get a good jump and be able to dive bomb them into one and be able to clear them and then use the whole racetrack.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday.
Dale Jr. here. I wear Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans for any occasion. With new styles and great fits, you'll look good and feel comfortable anytime, anywhere.
Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans are built with a U-shaped construction, so they give you more room where you need it. And their 4-way flex technology moves with you for all-day comfort.
In the garage or out and about, Wrangler knows the ins and outs of comfort. Wrangler, real comfortable jeans.
Hi, this is Eli Gold, the host of NASCAR Live. We've been taking your calls every Tuesday night for over 30 years, but now you don't have to wait for Tuesday. Call Motor Racing Network's fan hotline at 844-4-ASK-MRN.
I think Kyle Busch should be able to step right in and run for the championship if he gets a win. Just like any other sports figure, they're out for part of the season because of an injury. They come in, they win the championship, they win the trophy.
Be a part of the voice of NASCAR. Call 844-4-ASK-MRN.
Hey, I'm Michael Waltrip. Now back to Joey Meier and Woody Cain on Motorsports Monday.
Getting set for the weekend here. The Sprint Cup Series has a weekend off, and I know you mentioned earlier as one of your on-tracks that you like the way they've kind of spread these off weekends out this year.
Yeah, we did essentially divide it up into 4 quarters with the Sprint Cup Series. Allows us our last weekend off before the teams are allowed to get geared up for those last 2 that haven't made the chase. Guys that are even in the chase with our 1 win, or the guys that have multiple wins, we want to win more. We want to win more. Paul Wolf and those guys are working their guts out back at the shop right now because we align ourselves in the points after Richmond based on wins.
A reset.
Exactly right. So right now we're going to be 8th or 9th in points based on only having 1 win. We don't like that. We want more. We want more.
Who doesn't want more?
So those guys are going forward. It's a nice off weekend for the teams that need that reset for 2 more races in the long 10-race stretch. I look forward to that. But we have awesome road course racing. The trucks with Alex Zanardi's and the Brad Keselowski racing truck.
Wait. Not Zanardi.
Alex Tagliani. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
I was
you.
going to say, wait, what?
Nope,
Is
Alex
this
Tagliani.
A breaking news here?
Yeah,
Okay,
Tagliani's in the 29 truck, and we got little Blaney Ryan. Blaney's in the Discount Tire 22 Mustang up there at Road America. So looking forward to 2 road course races, which they put on a heck of a show. It'll be a great opportunity for both those guys to get back to victory lane.
Absolutely. And don't forget now, we'll have coverage for you all weekend long here on the Motor Racing Network. Road America comes up first on Saturday afternoon. The Road America 180 fired up by Johnsonville. The Xfinity Series race from Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin begins at 2:30 Eastern Time Saturday. Then Sunday, the Camping World Truck Series comes your way. The Chevrolet Silverado 250 from Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. That comes your way at 1 Eastern Time. Tuesday, NASCAR Live with Eli Gold at 7 Eastern. Wednesday, MRN 360 at 7 Eastern Time with the Postman. And we'll have all that for you here through the week as well. You can follow along with all the breaking news through the week. See a lot of the throwback paint schemes that are coming up at MRN.com as well along the way. On Twitter, play along with us at MRN Radio. Use the hashtag AskMRN. Mine is at WY Canes. Joey's is at 2Spotter. There you see it, at 2Spotter, if you want to communicate with him during the week as well. Want to thank our guests for coming on the program. Daniel Suarez, fresh off his Xfinity Dash for Cash win. He'll get a chance to pick up another $100,000 coming up at Darlington. He will be in Road America this weekend. And Justin Allgaier, a week off after running 12th at Bristol Motor Speedway in that H. Scott Motorsports Brant's Chevrolet. He will be having not really a weekend off. He's going to be running a lot of dirt track stuff along the way.
It's an official weekend off. Official weekend. How about,
so he's going to go racing.
What are we doing on our off weekend? My wife's going to the beach on the off weekend, leaving me at home to do all our chores, which is awesome. But he gets to just load up the camper and go back racing again. But he does it for fun. And now no points, no chase, no nothing. So it's awesome.
Absolutely. Don't forget you can keep up with all the action from that Homestead test this week at MRN.com. All the action is there. Follow along all week long. And we will see you right back here next Monday at noon.
You've been listening to MRN Motorsports Monday. Tune in again next Monday at noon for all the latest news, results, and interviews from NASCAR on MotorRacingNetwork.com. MRN Motorsports Monday is also available on demand at the MotorRacingNetwork.com Media Center or download it from iTunes or Stitcher. MRN Motorsports Monday is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.